Hello, everyone. Hi, good morning, evening, afternoon, night, whatever, whenever, wherever you are. I just woke up. I ain't done that yet. Brush my teeth, wash my face. I wanted to come to this space with the sleepies still in my eyes and on my brain. Oh, that hurts. Full moon in Leo is in a few hours. That's exciting, right? That's something that people are people excited about that? I don't know. So yesterday we had the Ace of Pennies. Today, oh, I do it this way, right? I just slide it over to the bottom. Yep, and then we. Oh wow! Today's the Eight of Wands. And what's interesting is, although it is a different color, it's that same sort of shade. Now, it's looking today like these are ascending. Oops, let me turn it this way. It's looking today like these are ascending. No. Yes. It looks like they're ascending towards that sun, I'm assuming, towards that pinnacle in the sky, instead of descending from it. If y'all can hear Chino breathing heavy at the bottom of my door, or licking the bottom of the door. Chino, thank you. Dude. Anyway, he's literally licking the carpet at the bottom of my door. I don't think y'all can hear him. So I don't know why I'm wearing these. I'm not listening to anything. I think I did that like yesterday too. So it feels like they're ascending into this pentacle sun. And it feels like there are these things coming from potential to reality. But they have tails. And maybe the tail, Tail, is a tail, Tale, that will be told. And so it's like it's these things that come in, but they're continuously unfolding. And the only way we really get to the end of any of them is to live life and to take them as they are. I don't know why I want to bring it up, but I mentioned it yesterday. The that I'm like putting the graphics to these major arcana spreads that I have. I think it was in the video I uploaded, and I was so nervous. I get nervous like every time, because for me it's like an honor and a privilege to the position to assist someone on their journey. And it's not for the meek or the faint of heart, because stuff kind of gets real sometimes. And that's not surprising. It's designed to aid in one's own spiritual growth, evolution, expansion. And sometimes there are some harsh, not harsh, but sometimes we really have to understand where we've come from. And there can be some heavy emotions in the past that we need to resolve. And so, if within the space of that major theme, they need to come up to be addressed, they'll come up. And it wasn't whatever, because there was an energy of resolution that had already occurred. And maybe that's why I kind of feel led to do it or start with some people rather than other people. Not rather than other people, but maybe that's why like I was drawn to the person I was drawn to. It's because of what it is that they're already doing for themselves, what it is that they're open to receive, and the space that they're in. It's all resonance. Which is why, like, even before I started, like, didn't want a large audience, because I know I'm not going to be for everybody. And I'm not really interested in being for everybody. I don't know, my interest has always been on like people who are doing the work and who are wanting to like go further. And that's when I started making the spreads. Because that's what, like, when I got into tarot, that's why I got into it. It was like, help me see the things that I don't see so that I can heal them and become more free and more me. Rhyme partially intended. And so what it does is it's like it creates these tracks for things to flow in on. Like train tracks, bullet train tracks, or waterways if you want those steamboats, or I mean, I guess the air is the air, so you don't necessarily create lanes for planes unless they do, and I don't know. But it's also, I think, not again, but I think too, like whether these are descending from that or ascending to that, it is a little bit of sperm to egg energy if we talk about, or if we reference back to all of the creation that was referenced yesterday. But it feels like little babies coming to be born. And I don't know if they're separate. And they're green on the tip, and they're white on the ends, and they fade into purple. The green tip, these are green, right? I don't have to. The green tip means there's this like sacral root. I don't know why I said root, maybe because the red. There's a sacral heart connection here. If the sacral is the womb, it has to be capable of bearing things from the heart. And then I think all of this like pale blue to white is things that we're not even capable of comprehending or understanding in the moment. And then the purple is the edge of our understanding. See, they're like green on the tip and then all that white, and then they fade to that purple. So it's like there's the feeling that we have, there's the knowing, excuse me, but in between, it's like blank. I want to say it's yet to be colored. And then there's the clip of Freckle, and she's like, sometimes things that are more expensive are worse. But when she was like, I want to fill it with color. He was like, because what was his name in that? Caleb Gallo, I think, was like, he was like, you don't have to put story, or you don't have to put color in the story. And Freckle was like, but I want to fill it with color. But it's colored by our experiences. But these are so. Maybe that's why there's 8 of them. Because there's thin. There's thin because they're thin. These rods aren't that thick. And so I feel like there's a lot of ways that we could not necessarily take this the way that we could take it to get where it is that that purple is sort of leading us, where we know it can go. And so cats have 9 lives, but there's 8 wands here. So 1 life down. And that may not necessarily be it, because I don't think it's necessarily to put pressure on anything. But um, is that Coraline? There's a movie in Bleach. It's Coraline, I think, in Bleach. There are a few different shows where they'll have spaces in between spaces. And they're usually dark. So it's a dark space that you have to traverse in between 2 different realities. But those spaces have cleaners. And I watched Inside Out for the first time last night. It was an amazing movie. I loved it. And it reminds me of when they was taking the shortcut to get to Imagination Land, and her brain was coming to dump some things, and they were stuck in that space. And they're like, "Oh no, this is stage 1. This is stage 2. Like, we're abstract. We're losing. Like, now we're just shapes and colors. Now we're 2D. Oh no." But it's an energy, and that's kind of sort of what this is. Because the purple is the space of imagination, let's say. It's the space of mental manifestation. And this is the gateway to reality. Also, when they went through the door, I didn't say it. If it came to my mind, I didn't say it. I was like, how's that relevant or applicable? Because sadness fell and turned into a line. And they were like, I can't get through the door. And she was like, we're 2D, fall on your face. And so they fell on their faces, and then they turned to these lines, and they just squiggled out the door. And that's like, these are like lines squiggling. And it goes back to that. It's like it unfolds. It's on its face, it's 2D, but it's going to gain dimension as it comes in, just as they lost dimension when they went into that space between spaces. And just like that space was being cleaned, there's an energy of like a cleaner in here somewhere. But we would be the cleaner. Because this is the space where self worth can limit, doubt can get us to question, fear and anxiety can get us to not accept. It's like this is the space where the mind, our conscious mind, can start to eat away at these things before they come into our experience fully. And it's our conscious mind fueled maybe also by the things that are in our environment or societal conditions and standards and things of that nature. But we buy into it, and we're convinced, or we allow ourselves to be convinced, that what someone else says is true sometimes. And so is the responsibility on them, or is it on us for believing it? ultimately, at the end of the day, you are in charge of your own self. So that's you thing. And there's also this energy of like, if it didn't, like, if it wasn't 2D, to come into this 3D space and then gain dimensionality or whatever D space, if it weren't of a lower dimension, when it came in, it's almost like it wouldn't fit. It's like when you have, like, if you want a baby grand piano, I keep talking about the baby grand piano in the house. If you want a baby grand piano in the house, but your door isn't big enough, they can, or like whenever you have something that's too big for the door, they deliver it in parts and then they assemble it inside. And that's an energy here. Like it's not coming in parts, it's just coming in lesser dimensions than what is immediately sort of available. You don't see all of what it is. But as you live life, it continues to expand and unfold. And then it becomes the thing that is that deep purple that like you can recognize as from that manifestive, mental manifestive space, whatever. And I feel like it's all tied to that Ace of Pentacles. Not all of it. Some of this is partly how things work, regardless. Some of it, the newer stuff, the bigger things, those are the ones that have tails. And tales that need to be told and tales that need to be experienced. And that's where I'm going to end this today. Keep it fairly short, right? Or comparatively short, at least. So, I hope you have a good whatever, whenever. And I hope you're acting in alignment to make the set of potentials that you wish to experience your reality. Because it's possible. You may have to let some things unfold. It may not come in all at once, especially if you don't really have room for it. So, too, if you're creating room, or if you find yourself creating room, creating space, then go with it. And I know that nature abhors a vacuum, supposedly, but when we lose one thing, it isn't necessarily for us to try to immediately fill it with something else. I just had like a random thought. I don't know if that's for me though. For some reason, like I watched Inside Out for the first time last night, and they were going through Imagination Land, and some dude popped out, and like, who is that? They're like, oh, that's her imaginary boyfriend. And he's like, I'd die for Riley. I'm Canadian, or I'm from Canada. But like that dude, just like him coming off the line, just popped into my head when I was talking about creating space for something. And maybe that thing is love, or is a relationship, or it could even be the career or the job of your dreams. And this in between space, I guess there's a question because the cleaners are going to come. And the dream killers are constantly in that space because for some of us, those voices never like turn off or shut up. Um, and so there's a question of like what we do, say, think, or believe, what we actively do, say, think, and believe that keeps those things from coming into our reality. Like, we never even allow ourselves to fully, it's like before it can even, it's like as soon as it enters the space, it's cleaned. And so, like, while it's something that you may be like constantly mentally trying to manifest, it feels like as soon as it enters that space between the mental manifestation and the physical manifestation, it's cleaned. And so it's very difficult for some of these things to come in that we're wanting. But after the Ace of Pentacles, then theoretically the path should be made. It should stand more of a fighting chance. Like, we shouldn't be cleaning as much, or we shouldn't be scrubbing as much. But I guess that's the energy of, like, whenever a space is created and we try to fill it with something else, maybe we're cleaning and scrubbing out the thing that's trying to come into that space. But again, there's also the question of, like, I don't know. I already said it. All right, that's what I got. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow for 3 Ace of Wands. So we've had the Chariot, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Eight of Wands. The Chariot and the Eight of Wands are like both like kind of fast energies. They're active energies. They move. And the Ace of Pentacles, it feels like our mind, but also our heart, and also a piece of the soul at the very least. Because it's almost like it symbolizes what we view as realistic. And sometimes we wish for things that we don't think we'll get, or we try to manifest things that aren't realistic, that we don't think of as realistic. So again, as it's trying to transit from that mental into the physical space, somewhere along the way, it gets erased. It gets cleaned. Either because physically we don't have the space for it, or we wouldn't be able to give birth to it, or mentally it's never released. So, all right. That's the third all right for the third shutdown, and it's final this time. I'll catch y'all tomorrow for whatever 4 brings us. Bye. Have a good whatever, whenever.